What's going on, everyone? So, big part of the upcoming Scream 7 is what is going to happen with Stu Macher? Is Stu Macher actually going to be in this film? Matthew Lillard, we know, is in this movie. We know Stu Macher is in the film, but to what capacity? When I say, is he going to actually be in this film? I mean, like, as a flesh and blood, alive character. Is he going to pop up at some point in this movie and all of us go, he's here, right? Type thing. And, look, there's obviously camps. A lot of people that really want to see Matthew Lillard return. A lot of people that really want Stu Macher back in the flesh, in real life, no AI, none of that. I'm somebody that doesn't really want that. Personally, again, good execution, good storytelling, good delivery can always change that. There's always a path, and if done correctly, maybe I'll even love it. Who knows? I'm always open to that stuff, but personally, I would like to move into a different direction. And to me, we had this kind of like build up towards the trailer. And it was like, okay, are we going to get confirmation of Stu Macher in this trailer? And we didn't. Now, that doesn't mean we didn't get Stu in the trailer. It just means we didn't get it to the level that was originally thought. So Matthew Lillard himself stated that the original plan was for Stu Macher to be revealed in the trailer, and that was going to get us all hyped up. But then they ended up releasing the actual information, and, it was kind of left at that. I even talked on a Lethal Collective episode, and we were all talking, and they brought up that Matthew Lillard moment, and I said, Matthew Lillard said the original plan. That's the key, right? The plan before it was announced publicly was that it was going to be revealed in the trailer. Well, it's already revealed, so are they going to actually show him in the trailer? And they didn't. So it begs the question of, like, is he actually in this movie? Well, like I said, just so happens he was in the trailer, and they gave us several little clues as to Stu Macher in this film. The biggest one is you literally get his voice at the end. So you got a couple little hints that Stu Macher could potentially be back. It's nothing that is, a total confirm or deny. It's not like, you see Stu like waving in the background, like, hey, everybody, like, I'm back, right? Like, it was nothing like that. But you get, as I mentioned, Stu Macher's voice at the end of the trailer. You also got Dewey Riley's too, by the way, which I think was done purposely to throw people off, because it's like, okay, if you just heard Stu, people go, oh, Stu's back, right? But if you hear Dewey earlier, Dewey's dead, and then you hear Stu later, you think, oh, okay, so, they're both dead, they're using AI, using, deepfakes, whatever. Something is afoot, and it's not them actually returned for the upcoming Scream movie. Like, that's kind of the idea, right? However, that could very well be a way to kind of throw you off, kind of misdirect you. Because like I mentioned, like, if Stu's back, and you don't want everyone thinking that, you want people to kind of keep it open and guess in a mystery, right? Like, I've talked about, if they were ever going to bring Stu back, now's the time to do it. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but if you were ever going to do it, you have a new Sydney film where you're starting up a trilogy, or at least another film. There, we got Scream 8 greenlit, which I don't think they're going to stop there, especially if this movie is successful. But my point is, like, you don't want to do all of this and then have this lay dead, right? They went the safest route. So if you were ever going to bring Stu Macher back, this is the time to bring Stu Macher back. That doesn't mean that they will, but if you were going to do it, now's the time. Problem is, like I said, I don't think you can do it in this film. We know Scream 8 is greenlit. I think you need to build up and set it up in this film through, like, the deep fakes and whatnot. And that's where these clues come in. You have Stu Macher's house being burnt down. I'm burning it all down. I've seen people, why would Stu want to burn down his house? Because that's the symbol. That's the moment. Like, that's the clue. Like, that, you can argue that several ways in favor for Stu. One, what greater symbolic moment of, like, Stu Macher's back and forget the past type thing than burning down his own house, right? Like, this this Ghostface is clearly somebody from the past, or at least they're making you believe that it is. Right? There are subtleties that Ghostface says in the trailer, where we grew up, right? Like things like that. It really kind of has you believe that, hey, this is something that is going to, end in a grandiose way. And what more grandiose way than Stu Macher, as I mentioned. So I really do think that you have kind of these subtle clues. It's nothing, like I said, concrete where you can, because again, you can make arguments against all this. You could make an argument to burning the Stu Macher house down because they want to move away from Stu. Like, hey, Stu's dead and so is his house, right? So like, get out. Like you can make that argument in multiple ways. But I do think, again, Ghostface is from the past. Stu Macher's house is being burnt down. You have somebody that wants to burn it all down, messing and toying with Sydney, wants to, have her watch and do all this stuff, right? Get the good old-fashioned revenge. And you also have the voice of Stu at the end of the trailer. And, it just simply says this is going to be fun. And again, it could very well just be as simple as like an AI, right? Hey, here's some AI generated stuff here, it's just, something, Ghostface is just using and toying with various things, right? Ghostface is using deepfakes and using AI and doing all these things. I think that's very real. That's a real possibility. If I had to guess what it is, I think it's that. I've said, and I still kind of think that it would make the most sense. It also probably piss off a couple people, but I think it'd make the most sense if you were to have Leslie Macher be the one that is actually Ghostface. And kind of lead you to believe that it's Stu, and you have all these symbols and using Stu's voice, and because she's not going to use her voice, right? So, use Stu's voice and let you use deep fakes with Stu and burn Stu's house down and all of these things, right? Like have all of these kind of setups and establishments. And so you're watching the movie, and as you go through the movie, you're like, oh my gosh, Stu Macher's alive. It's him. It has to be him, this, that, and the other. And then you get to the very end, and it's not Stu. And it's Leslie Macher, and Leslie Macher is the killer. And that would make sense why you have the tie-in to the past and burning down Stu Macher's house and Stu's voice and all those things. So, like, you could easily make that connection. But you could also go really full circle kind of way. So you could do something where it is Leslie Macher, and Leslie Macher is the one, and we think that it's Stu. And it's like, oh, they're going to do the Stu reveal it. Here we go. And this is going to be the grand thing and blah, blah, blah. And then we get to the end and it's Leslie, and everyone that really wanted Stu back are all like deflated and go, oh man, it's not Stu, it's his sister, like, and whatever. And however, the execution might be great and people kind of come around and like it. But then at the very tail end, because remember, we got Scream 8, right? At the very tail end, what better way than to have Stu Macher maybe standing over his sister's body or something, right? And it's like, he had to have a partner. She didn't do it alone. Turns out it's Stu Macher. And Stu Macher standing over the body going like, Sydney took my sister, type thing. And then you have that full grand into Scream 8 and then 9. Right? But you already laid the breadcrumbs. You already laid the pieces. That's what I've talked about, right? Like, if you use Leslie Macher as the one to lay the breadcrumbs that Stu Macher's alive. And then you have the misdirect at the end where we think it's Stu, but really it's Leslie. And then you're for a moment like, oh, so all that stuff was just nonsense. It was just Leslie messing with Sydney or whatever and having them chase after Stu, right? And Stu's dead and a ghost. So, that kind of thing, right? But then in the end, Stu is alive and it's like, oh, no, all those clues were real. So she wasn't just talking. She was telling the truth. It's just Stu shows up at the end type thing. It's probably the best approach. We got some little clues in the trailer that we had to talk about, we had to mess with. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. What do you think? Hey, what are your thoughts? Is there anything else that you took as a Stu kind of nod? Is there anything in particular? I'd love to hear it either way. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you want to like this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel. What are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.